keep on making the promises to myself. I keep on making the same promises to myself. Now my love is boom, Betty, bye bye.
All right. Welcome to the Greatness Project, where we cultivate greatness through the power of thoughts. I am your humble host, KB. And as always, I thank you guys for listening. On this episode today, we're going to be discussing family matters. That's why the title of this episode is called Family Matters, because we're going to be discussing how your family, your circle, your hive, your tribe, whatever you want to call it, how it has a direct correlation on what kind of success you're going to experience on this journey called life, or what lack thereof success you're going to have. And how when you are considering a spouse, a mate, a wife, husband, whomever, someone to do this journey of life with, you need to consider what kind of resources, what kind of experience, what kind of capital have they been exposed to? Because it would definitely have a direct correlation on the success of that relationship, but also on the future of those you leave behind, your kids, your grandkids, etc. And the reason this is important is because one of the major components of greatness is seeking the best possible relationship between yourself and someone else. So it's imperative when you consider your legacy, your children's legacy, and what opportunities and resources you hold to live behind when you go. And so it's no secret that within the African American community, and just in minorities in general, that there's this general consensus that certain races, certain people, group of people have had this head start on us. We'd like to use the analogy of we're all starting this race and we're all starting off at the same line. But for some reason, these people are always, why are they way up there? I thought this was supposed to be equal, even. How are we all starting back here and they're way up there? And then we all have this general sense of shut up, mind your business. Don't worry about where they're starting off. You just run your race. They're going to run theirs. You run yours. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to say what race that is. You guys can figure that out on your own. And I'm not even here to debunk that myth or that stereotype or that narrative. Like, that's not my position, is to challenge that. But what I am here to say is, so what? So what? If you had become successful, and Lord willing, when you become successful, won't your kids have a distinct advantage over the kids they grew up with as well? I sit back and think about everyone I grew up with. Everyone I went to middle school with, elementary school with, junior high, high school. How many of their parents were millionaires? And how many of them had any kind of social, educational, or societal advantage over me or my brothers? And the answer for me, just like I'm sure it is for many of you, is none. Not many, if any. Because we all grew up in the same area, same city. Parents kind of had the same type of jobs, made the same type of income, drove the same kind of cars. We all had similar lifestyle because of our proximity to each other. And if their parents could afford something substantially better, they probably would have moved to an area that reflects that they can afford substantially better. What I'm trying to get people to understand, and the message behind this episode, is we don't inherit a future. We inherit a starting line. And I'm going to say that again. We don't inherit our future. We inherit a starting line. You could be born with advantages. You can be born in an advantageous situation based off what your parents or grandparents accomplished before you got here. And no stat highlights that more than this. 80% of all millionaires in this country have made their fortune without any family inheritance. But what they all have had is access to resources, connections, social capital, and they brought to the table human capital. And the majority of this 80%, majority of them are all first-time millionaires, which means that they are the first person in their family to gain any kind of substantial wealth. My greatness family, this is why your environment matters so much. Your family matters so much. Who you surround yourself with matters so much because it shapes your expectations. And to further prove that point, I'll present this stat for you. When it comes to entrepreneurial children, 60% of entrepreneurial children are likely to become entrepreneurs themselves. And nearly half of the millionaires in this country, of the founders of companies and major corporations, They were exposed to a family business environment at an early age and throughout their childhood and life. So it doesn't mean they took over their family business and became successful. They just were exposed to entrepreneurship, to creativity, to thinking more than what this 9 to 5, whatever hours of paycheck you're going to get. What else can I create? How else can I generate income? And to further illustrate how much environment and family matters, let's move to education. Because 82% of all kids who have two parents who graduate with a bachelor's or above, 82% of their children will graduate with a degree themselves. If a child has two parents, but only one of them has a college degree, again, bachelor or above, then they have a 60% chance of graduating from college themselves. And if a child has two parents where neither one of them went beyond high school, the numbers drop to 20%. They only have a 20% chance of graduating from college themselves. So when I tell you that greatness matters, this pursuit, this chase of greatness matters, your family matters, your circle matters, those you surround yourself with matters. Especially when you talk about having kids, talk about leaving a family, and as men, we talk about leading a family. We are the first role models. We are the first people that our kids get to see and learn from on this earth. They learn majority of what's possible from us first. And if all you show them is I work hard, 9 to 5, whatever hours you work, and you come home and you relax and you chill, and you wake up, you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you work 40 hours a week plus, most of us work more than that, just to get about 48 hours off. So I'm working 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week just to get 2 days off and come right back and do it all over again. This is what we show our kids day in and day out for 30, 40 years at a time, and wonder why they don't think much more is possible for themselves. But again, if you were an entrepreneur, if you found a business to be successful in and you developed and built it, then your kids have a 60% chance of doing that themselves too. So when we talk about setting up ourselves for the future, changing that narrative, I'm not worried about what starting line these people are starting at. I told my father today during breakfast that if he had done certain things differently, me and my brother would have had a greater advantage as well. And had his father done certain things differently, he would have had a greater advantage. And that's how it starts. It starts with one. One person has to say no more. My kids won't have to grow up how I grew up, and their kids won't have to grow up how I grew up. It has to end with one and start with one. And for me, it begins with chasing greatness. So with that said, I'm your humble host, KB. This is The Greatness Project, where we cultivate greatness through the power of thoughts. Until next episode, let greatness reign.